Let's talk about Michael Corleone. In the books by Mario Puzo and in the films, Michael demonstrates a notable lack of empathy. This characteristic shapes his choices and who he is as a person through the entire Godfather series. It makes him a strong and effective leader, but it leads to many problems in his family life as a husband and father. This is the conflict at the heart of the series, and it all stems from his lack of empathy. We see how cold and unforgiving Michael is in his relationships, but perhaps the most obvious is with his wife, Kay Adams. Marrying Kay was very clearly a mistake. By the time they had wed, Michael is clearly not the same person he is at the beginning of their relationship. He's not the man she fell in love with. He's first and foremost a crime boss who will lie to her about his actions. He puts business first, and this creates a permanent rift between the two. Early in his story, Michael is trying to avoid becoming a part of the family business, but once he does things quite differently than his father, Vito Corleone. Unlike the previous Godfather, Michael didn't separate his role from his personal life. Furthermore, he focused on business instead of community, where his father built community by giving out favors and benefiting from relationships he developed. Michael often used force to set people straight, make money, and hold on to money. His business-first approach didn't make friends, and even lost them. His harsh methods included doing things that his father didn't have the heart for. Michael reveals himself to not have that heart at all. Maybe he never had it to begin with. He demonstrates this clearly in The Godfather Part 2, when he has to deal with Fredo, his brother. We know that Michael is cold and calculating, which leads us to believe that Michael will have an appropriate punishment for Fredo, who collaborated with Michael's enemies. Perhaps he'll demote him from his role in the business, or even exile him altogether. But that's not what happens. Instead, in a moment of thoughtless rage, Michael orders Fredo's death. This personal decision comes from a place of anger rather than his usual cold demeanor. It was an impulsive move that had a dramatic impact on the rest of the Corleone family. And what's more, it was clear that Fredo was never cut out for the family business in the first place. If Michael had noticed that he wasn't suited for a leadership position, he could have prevented the betrayal and given his brother a better life. Fredo should never have been forced to be Michael's right-hand man, just as Kay should never have been a mafia boss's wife. This is a major through line of Michael's story. When we see him creating and exacerbating these conflicts between his crime family and his actual family. Time and time again, he chooses the business over his actual family. He alienates his wife and has his brother murdered. All this, he believes, is necessary for the greater good. He wants to protect both his family and his crime family, and he chooses to be harsh and unyielding in order to do this, sacrificing so much in the process. He becomes the thing he wanted to avoid at the beginning of his story by putting the business ahead of his own family's needs and happiness. He thinks that he's doing this to provide for his family and keep them safe, but he's actually never there for them. He's not providing them with the security that they actually need. Ultimately, Michael failed to separate his own family life from his life as a crime boss, and this led to his family's downfall. If he had followed more in the footsteps of his own father, who understood the importance of this separation, perhaps things would have gone differently for the Corleones. While this series is full of violence and criminal activity that we don't experience in our own lives, there's still much to identify within these books and films. How many of us had a father who was constantly away at work, being the provider and yet never providing their presence and affection? The stories of the characters in The Godfather carry an important lesson for anyone who struggles with their own work-life balance, and we can learn a lot from Michael's mistakes.